Yeah, I wanted to do like 9 years. Really?
It's because the jewelry I get. Like right now, this one hurts to move because.
I hate ears.
I refuse to think about it. I'd rather live my own
I can literally put highlights up. Yeah, sit back here until you get. It's interesting. I don't really want to.
So I oversee it.
Adrian. And I wasn't free, but I think the good thing they brought it here. Thank you.
Yeah.
What if you were?
Were you, nice. When my wife.
May depend on what job. Once you get it set up.
Actually.
I have to listen to the other. I think like.
How so they should do that? So that way we can go ahead and start like. Every time fall into the. Pride. What if he doesn't have? Yeah.
And also.
Yeah. Where do you? It probably would be a really good idea to actually more funding, you know, because like, I know where we have more things. Where. Went to Elizabeth High School. That shit show. Honestly. Back to like the captain has been paid for. With a rat. Damn. So like. It literally was no one humbling.
Is there anyone on Zoom or not? Brad?
And he's talking.
What?
He's talking.
Oh. Hello, Faraz and everyone else on Zoom. What?
I did not figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just gonna ask. Wait,
No, we were putting animals. Where's
Hello.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. For the budgetary presentation, I sent a PDF for like the weekly report.
Yeah.
But if you use the link that I sent the first time, that's probably the best version to show because it'll be horizontal.
No, I rotated it.
You got it?
See?
Okay, perfect. Thank goodness. Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
It's the one.
You need to make sure like security doesn't
For the last. All gender. Wait.
Everything you wouldn't show up, you just went over to hard lock it over. And that was what you seen that.
Pero no, the one point, but.
So, are you gonna say 51?
It's a huge conversation. Democrats have If I could listen, I don't care. If you lose, maybe it's a two or three seats. Which usually, if I can go and be powerful president, successful president.
It's been 40 years.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, pass those? Yeah.
Yeah, Dane is gone. He's in Finland. But I don't know. What's good. From my understanding, we've had 3 outstanding.
So wait.
What are you gonna do?
Email.
Whereas is better than so.
Good.
Damn.
Oh, yeah.
I like the Finland one.
Yeah, it's gonna.
I'm gonna start right now.
Right, we have a lot on the docket, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. It is my honor to call the 13th session of the 52nd Senate to order. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance if you're willing and able.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The CSU land acknowledgement. Colorado State University acknowledges with respect that the land we are on today is the traditional and ancestral homelands of the Arapaho, Cheyenne, and Ute nations and peoples. This was also a site of trade, gathering, and healing for numerous other Native tribes. We recognize the indigenous peoples as original stewards of this land and all the relatives within it. As these words of acknowledgement are spoken and heard, the ties nations have to their traditional homelands are renewed and reaffirmed. CSU is founded as a land-grant institution, and we accept that our mission must encompass access to education and inclusion. And significantly, that our founding came at a dire cost to Native nations and peoples whose land this university was built upon. This acknowledgement is the education and inclusion we must practice in recognizing our institutional history, responsibility, and commitment. I'll now swear in new senators and associate senators. So if that's you, please come to the front and we'll administer the oath of office. Go ahead.
All right. I state your name.
I, Joe Ford,
I, Riley Winehouse, do solemnly swear to defend and uphold
do solemnly swear to defend and uphold
the rules and regulations set forth
the rules and regulations set forth
by the Constitution of the Associated Students of Colorado State University
by the Constitution of the Associated Students of Colorado State University,
and will rightfully perform the duties of my office
and will rightfully perform the duties of my office
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you. If you don't have placards made yet, fantastic. Thank you, Jess. We'll move into beginning roll call. The clerk will call the roll.
Speaker DeSalvo,
Here.
Speaker Pro Tempore Caracero. Officer Bakari,
He's on Zoom.
On Zoom.
Senator Abu Dhabi,
Excused.
Chair Assam. Present. Senator Day, AP. Here. Associate Senator Barons,
Here. On Zoom.
Associate Senator Barton. Senator Bushara. Here. Senator. Senator Correa.
Yeah.
Senator Benson.
Excused.
Chair Doyle.
Here.
Senator Epperson.
On Zoom. Here.
Senator Gottschall. Senator Johnson.
On Zoom.
Senator Juarez.
Here.
Senator Kilburn.
Here.
Senator Kramer.
Here.
Senator Laffey. Present. Senator Lowe.
Here.
Senator McCall.
Here.
Senator Melka.
Here.
Senator Nguyen.
Here.
Senator Parisa. Here. Senator Pereira. Senator Reese.
Present.
Chair Winter. Here. Chair Salazar.
Here.
Senator Sanchez.
Here.
Chair Schumer.
Present.
Senator Shetty.
Here.
Parliamentarian Sinarika.
Here.
Senator Taylor.
Here.
Senator Thompson. Chair Trout.
Present.
Senator Deets.
Here.
Senator Ayala. Here. Senator Hill.
Present.
Senator Ritter.
Here.
Senator Schmidt.
Here.
Senator Morgan. Present. Associate Senator Jacobs. Senator Melchior.
Present.
Associate Senator Hooley.
Here.
Senator Lazoya.
Here.
Senator Weaver.
Excused.
Associate Senator Chacon. Senator Belker. Senator Graham.
Present, but it's Kelly.
Associate Senator Vermillion. Present. Senators Young. Associate Senator Laffey. Here. Senator Nyambe. Associate Senator Saunders. Associate Senator Kelly. Here. Associate Senator Lutz.
Here.
Associate Senator Winston.
Here.
Associate Senator Barbone. Here. Senator Morgan. Here, it's, my last name is Wright.
It is, I'm sorry, I have it switched.
Anyone who wasn't called? Associate Senator Ben Torres Waxy. For those of you who are new, come up after the fact and we'll get you on the roster. Yes.
Associate Senator,
All right, anything else? Yeah, and if your name is being mispronounced, make that known so that I can have it as well as the clerk, so that we don't do it again. Consent agenda, is there any dissent to the agenda? Seeing none, we'll move on to gallery input. Is there anyone from the gallery who wishes to speak at this time? Seeing none, we'll move on to our guest speaker, which is budgetary affairs.
Okay, hello, everyone. This presentation is from the Budgetary Affairs Committee, and it's going to go over some details on when you're writing bills, some things to look out for. Just so as you're getting into researching those, you can keep these things in mind. And particularly, we're going to focus on ESOP bylaws and parts of those that may apply to your bill writing, financial components of writing the bills, and the example edits. If you don't know us, I'm Elizabeth Venture. I'm the chair for Budgetary Affairs Committee. And with me are Vishal and Rithik, senators for Office of International Programs and Engineering. Okay.
Hi, everyone. This is Art. I just had a bill last week, I guess, about the same thing. So here we are with the presentation. Could you scroll down to the next slide? So what does the ESOP stand for? I guess everyone's aware of it. If not, then I think you should abandon it. Current chair is Jillian Cook. She has been a great help to us. And it's governed by the ASCSU Constitution and the ESOP bylaws. $150,000 of a student fee is allotted to ESOP for funding student events.
Yes, Senator Morgan.
Point of personal privilege, can you like zoom in?
Thank you.
So, which can be used for academic, cultural, co-curricular, and other things. Okay, move on to the next slide. Now, this is interesting.
Sure.
So, what the BA looks for is co-sponsorship of events. That is basically what ESOP looks for. And line items in a budget, that is what we all should look for in every bill that is passed, financial bill that is passed through the Senate. And the ASCSU promotion, of course, that since we are funding it. Now, this is the only word mention of ESOP in the Senate bylaws. There is no other mention of ESOP anywhere else in the Senate bylaws. I think you could all read it. It would be redundant of me reading the entire thing again. So, co-sponsorship. Now, this is a big one. Now, every event that we sponsor or we apply through ESOP funding, requires or amount for 10%, 20%, and 30%, depending on how much funds we ask for. So if we ask for $3,000 or less than 3,000, we go for 10% of co-sponsorship. If we go for $3,000 to $7,000, it amounts to 20% of co-sponsorship. And anything above 7,000, it goes to 30%. Now, there's a catch. The catch is if you're ticketing the event, if the event is ticketed, that means if you're fundraising to the event, then 50% of co-sponsorship would be required and should be required, of course, which I think we have missed, but let's move on. And now this is nice. If a request for a line item has been above $4,999, 0.99 cents, I don't know why we've been missing 0.01 cent. It must be before 6 calendar weeks. Now, the word calendar over here, I don't know, it should be working weeks, I guess, or calendar weeks, I don't know. Since if we have fall break in between and someone applies for the funding, let's say in the first week of November for an event occurring in December, does the fall break count or not? So I guess someone should clear it up with these bylaws. If Julian's here. I don't think so. So next. Oh, I missed a thing. Could you please scroll up? Now, if the total funding required is above $14,000, you would have to apply at least 8 weeks before. They set before the date of the event. So since you have to present to the Senate the entire bill with the itemized line budget. Next slide, please. Okay, so as I said before, any advertisement or marketing that has been done for that particular event for which the BSOP funding has been asked, or funding to the Senate has been asked, should have ASCSU logo applied all over it, unless specific. We have say this. Unless you have an exemption from the piece of chair, that is Director of Finance for the ASCSU, and the financial advisor for ASCSU, that is Jesse. Jesse. I think I got to do this. Next. Again. Writing bills. I guess.
So these slides also can be for your own reference, going forward, if you're writing bills that have financial components, you can use these for reference for sure. So when you're writing a bill, there are 3 main things that you can look out for if it's a bill that entails more financial aspects. And that would be sunset clauses, line items, and just keeping in mind how those funds will be allocated. So we can scroll down. For sunset clauses, you'll probably have heard this word tossed around a lot in bill writing. Essentially, these are clauses at the end of your bill where you say an end date for when the money can be used. So for example, if you have a bill allocating $5,000 to some event, you might say at the end, this money can be used and drawn from until August 15th, 2023, arbitrary number there. And essentially, for that whole time frame, that money is set aside and can only be used for that event. And on the accounting side of it, we see that in our fund balance, that there's money set aside for there. Once that date passes, any unused funds can be released into the fund balance and open for future use of the ASCSU budget. So we can scroll down. The next aspect, at the bottom of your bill, you can include a breakdown of different line items. So this is really helpful if you are doing an event or some type of project that requires multiple pieces to purchase, just so that senators and everyone else can see, okay, where's this money going? And that helps save you a little bit of time as well in presenting, because you can show people, oh, look, I already have all this research given, everything broken down. And in particular, it helps if you have a clause in your bill as well that says the line items, the amounts below will be used. That way in Budgetary Affairs Committee, when we're looking at that, we can be like, okay, this is the final amount for that item breakdown. And the lovely part, once your bill goes through and is approved. Well, Senate approves the legislation. And then you as a bill author have to submit an RFD. And an RFD is a request for financial documentation. And that is found in Ramlink. You can always reach out to the front desk to ask about that. And once that is received and approved, then you are free to use those funds for whatever event or project you're working on with your bill. And an interesting thing about this, ASCSU funds never go like directly to a SOPA account of the student organization. SOPA accounts are through SLICE. Each student organization can open a SOPA account and put their money there. Funds never go directly to those accounts. They are only sent to the final person receiving money. So an organization has to submit their invoice and then they can get paid. And then we have some examples for edits that Budgetary Affairs Committee makes.
Hey y'all, my name is Ritik Correa. For those of you who don't know me, I am the Senator for the Office of International Programs. Just a disclaimer here that this presentation is completely from a neutral point of view. This presentation is not from an individual person. This presentation is from the Budgetary Affairs Committee as a whole. So here we'll be looking at example edits on why budgetary affairs is important and why it's important to send most legislation that has a dollar amount assigned to it to budgetary affairs. Just go to the next slide, please. So here we'll be going over like potential edits. We'll be seeing if, okay, should we consider BSOP bylaws? Now, Senate doesn't need to consider BSOP bylaws in making any piece of legislation, but BSOP has certain restrictions. And I think we need to put emphasis on those restrictions, like why does BSOP have those restrictions? Should we apply it on our pieces of legislation as well? If we could just go to the next slide, please. So here we'll be going over example edits. Again, as I said, this is from a neutral point of view. Now the way the Senate discretionary fund works is the Senate discretionary exec funds, they are all in just one account, not in like multiple different accounts. So when we say we are transferring it from this department to that department, that transfer doesn't actually occur. It still is in the same account. What happens is the power to utilize those funds is transferred from Senate to, in this case, a member of the exec. So a better way to have worded it would be instead of funds to the discretionary fund, blah, 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 would be used at the discretion. And the reasoning behind why this is important is because 3 years from now, when a senator is going to check on these pieces of legislation and be like, okay, what's going on behind the scenes? If they read the first therefore clause, they'd be confused on what actually happens. But the second therefore clause would give them a better insight on what actually happens behind the scenes. Let's go to the next slide, please. Example 2. Right. So basically over here, what we're saying is the first therefore clause is that an additional $1,000 be allocated from the Senate discretionary fund to the Director of Diversity. And the second therefore clause talks about that an additional $2,000 be allocated from the Office of the President Fund to the event. The issue over here is these clauses should have actually been whereas clauses. So Senate doesn't have control over the funds that are already given to exec. Therefore, clauses state that, okay, that the Senate decides that this money is going here. But the money over here was actually decided by the respective exec members, President and the Director of Diversity and Inclusion. They respectively decided themselves on their own accord, on their own discretion, that these funds would be used for that event. So these should have actually been whereas clauses. This is like a clerical change, not that important, but these were changes that budgetary affairs would have made. If we just go to the next slide, please. Example 3. So here is a change that we made, I believe, last week, in which the original bill requested $6,000 from Senate discretionary, but they had some other items to add in, specifically like the suits and the mask protection, like protection wear at the site, and they requested an additional $1,000 for that. We added it in the therefore clause, and we also changed it in the budget allocated below. Remember, there was a therefore clause in that specific bill that said that the money can only be used based on the amounts allocated within a certain page below. So everything was set up and the money could only go in that particular way. That's how it works behind the scenes with RFDs when once the bill is passed and it gets the president's assent, it goes to the accountant, it goes to Jesse as well, and then they approve RFDs and they decide how the money is going to go based on how it's written in the bill, which is why it is very important for pieces of legislation to go to budgetary affairs without fail. If
until unless there are like extenuating circumstances where it has to be passed on that very day, if there's the slightest possibility that it can be reviewed by budgetary affairs, then it is a request from budgetary affairs that it be sent to that respective committee. Next slide, please. I'm done. I'm done. Thank you.
So in conclusion, when writing bills with financial aspects, you can make sure to reference pertinent bylaws or governing documents. All these are available on the ASCSU website, and you can just search keywords always. And when writing financial components, always feel free to reach out to like Jesse, anyone in Budgetary Affairs Committee, or just any other senator you know who has experience. And we're all just like happy to answer any questions you have. And include as much specificity as possible in background research. This really makes it easier. So going forward, when you're getting questions from people, you already know answers. And then always hype up ASCSU. Let people know like, hey, ASCSU is funding this. So be sure to include that in your bills as well to make sure students are aware of ASCSU and what it does. And that is it for the presentation. So if y'all have any questions, you're open to that now. If there are no questions, then that is it.
Thank you. Executive reports. If there's anyone from the executive branch that has a report, please come up now.
Ooh, I get a microphone. Hi, everyone. My name's Hayden. I am chief of staff in the executive branch. I use she, her, and hers pronouns. Can everyone hear me all right? Okay, awesome. Good to see so many of you in here. As for executive reports, we next week are going to be going to a movie at the Lyric for our cabinet meeting. The movie that is being hosted by NAC specifically, that's Native American Cultural Center, who I want to give a shout out to because they've been doing an awesome job with all their events this month. I was able to go to the powwow on Saturday, and that was a really, really cool experience. So thank you for that. And really quick, I've been hearing some things around the office where I think some people in Senate may be a bit concerned that people in exec are not doing their jobs. As somebody whose job it is to make sure that they are doing their jobs, I will let you know they're doing their jobs. Everybody is fulfilling all of their job descriptions. I'm very proud actually of a lot of the work that exec is doing. If you just read the weekly reports, which come out in the weekly email, you can see detailed down to the hours what everybody is doing. And if you have a problem with anything that anyone in exec is doing, please come talk to me because I would argue that myself or Jason are the experts on what people in exec are doing. So if you have a problem, please come talk to me. Thank you.
All right, so I have a message from President Long. He says, hello, Senate. I'm currently away for the rest of the week in Denver for the Presidential Search Committee interviews. He says, Deputy Director Pantine, I am mispronouncing this. He's the Deputy Director of International Affairs. I apologize for mispronouncing his last name. We'll be presenting the Groom Bill tonight, which I do not see him, so I'm not sure if that's still happening. If you have any questions about that, please feel free to ask. However, if you have any questions for me, I will be back next week. Thank you all for your hard work tonight. Have a great weekend, and I will see you all on Wednesday. And now for my report. I have a lot of SFRB updates, so please bear with me for a minute. I'm working on an SFRB presentation that will hopefully answer a lot of the questions that y'all have about what SFRB is, what we do. I will be presenting that next week, but I did want to ask if it's okay with you, Speaker DeSalvo, if there are any specific questions that y'all want me to put in here so I can answer it next week. Okay, no questions, cool. The re-ratifications will happen next week as well. Bylaws hopefully will be presented next week. I literally just sent that in before Senate started, so we'll see if that happens. And also because we've had a few members step down from SFRB, I will be reopening the applications. So if you want to be re-ratified, or if you want to be ratified next week, I recommend applying as soon as tomorrow. Or if you want to wait until next week's presentation, so you all have a little bit more knowledge about what SFRB is, the applications will close next Friday, November 18th. And then with kind of going off of Hayden's theme about the rumors, there's a lot of rumors going all around about me and my mental health and my grades and me stepping down as vice president. I am not stepping down. I will be here next semester. I will be here until my role ends. My mental health, if y'all are concerned about it, thank you, but I am doing great. I am stable. And my grades, well, you know what? That's none of your business, but just know that I am passing and doing what I need to do to be vice president. So with that being said, and with what Hayden said about the rumors, y'all, we're in university. Please stop spreading rumors. If you have any questions, if you have any concerns, just talk to the person. I promise you, at least me and Hayden, we don't bite. We're really nice. And if you have any questions or concerns, like, our doors are always open and we would love to hear from you. Thank you.
Two things I forgot really quick. Okay, this week, what is it? Deputy Director of Graphic Design, that is getting interviewed for, and hopefully we should have a new Deputy Director of Graphic Design by next week. I know right now it looks like a lot of people are stepping down, but that is not the case. We just have 2 people who are graduating this semester. And so what we're working on right now is making sure that their job spots get filled. We will also be having the Director of University Campus Engagement. Yeah, Campus Engagement. That will be open soon because dear Faith will be graduating this fall. She will be missed, but our goal is to get that cabinet position filled after fall break so that they will have ample time to be trained by Faith before she leaves. So that is it. The words about stepping down reminded me. Should have told you. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, I'm not Rob Long, although some people have, anyway, it's been a long night. So my name's Noah Birch. I'm the Director of Housing Security here on campus. And so I've been working on a few different projects. The one that I'm speaking to you tonight on is the Remembering Our Lost Rams Memorial that we are installing. Some of you may have heard of it, some of you may have not. What this memorial is intending to do is to promote a tradition that ASCSU has held for a long time. And I won't go into full depth on it. If anyone has any questions on that, feel free to come speak with me. We have some of the final designs in the works right now. In fact, one of the designs was passed by the design review committee yesterday, so that's exciting. Other than that, we will be bringing a resolution probably to Senate to get last minute feedback on design, just to make sure that everything is kind of perfected before we go into the construction phase of that. So if anyone has any input on the design or has any questions on the memorial itself, that will be, I'll be around for in the office the rest of this week. Other than that, if you have any questions on housing security initiatives and what we're working on there, feel free to come and talk. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. So I've been here a few times, but there's still new faces. So I'm Evan Wells. I'm the Director of Governmental Affairs. And so basically I just run the local state and policy department. So underneath me, I have Noah Birch who spoke and Jorge Garcia, which is my deputy director. And so what basically I want to talk about is Day of the Capitol event where we get to basically go down to the Capitol and you get to like learn more about what the state government's doing. And that event will be happening on February 16th. So if you want to go, mark down February 16th on your calendar. And I will be sending out more sorry, my throat is losing it. We haven't done that yet. So talking all the time's great. But so there'll be more about that. We'll be doing a lot of marketing. So you all will know exactly what daily capital is, also there'll be a lot of like non-ASCSU students who also know, because this event is not just for ASCSU, it's for all the students in CSU and in process, like CSU Club will also count on Gab to reach out to them as well. The other thing I want to mention is, so we're creating a kind of committee called the City Council Committee, because we meet on Tuesdays, go down to the City Council to show the Fort Collins City Council that students here exist, and that we want to have some input on the City Council. So right now it'll be more about U+2, but later in the year, we might be covering other things. That will meet on Tuesday, and there'll be a lot more known about it, or you'll get know on the ASCSU Instagram and in the next weekly email. So you want to know more, just check the ASCSU Instagram in 2 days and check your weekly email next week and you'll learn a lot more about this event. And the third thing is that LSAB, before I run, we meet on Fridays at 12 o'clock. So if you're at all interested in what we're doing, it's open to the public, so you can attend. Also, I might have some guests show up for the state representatives if they get back to me, and there might be free food for that. And also, if you have any questions about my department or the Director of Government Affairs position, the Director of Director of Health and Security, or Deputy Director of State Law and Policy, please email me or just ASCSU Governmental Affairs. I'll happily talk to you about any question you have. Like, I would love to talk to you all. Don't feel like I only want to talk to you right now. If you want to talk to you, whatever. If you have any questions or any like concerns or just confusion, please let me know and I'll answer them as soon as possible. So thank you very much. And all of you have a fun Senate time.
Hi, my name is Derek Newberger. I'm the Director of Graduate Affairs, so I'm a grad student. We've been slaying it this year. We've been asked to do more social events, increase grad student compensation, and we've done that and more. So we've tackled the fees and met with President Miranda, who then made a fall draft as the second most important thing that he's going to do is to reduce that student fees. That's millions of dollars that we'd have to reallocate for grad students to meet our basic needs. The second thing is more socials. We've had more socials in the past 3 years, and it's only November. And that's not even including attendance. And maybe it's pretty easy to beat COVID years. But by the end of next year, we'll have more socials in the past 5 years. And I've only been able to do, lastly, we will have for the first time ever a space for graduate students on campus.
Yeah.
It is real that we have this opportunity that we never had. Meets needs that we never even planned or hoped to meet for our graduate students. Now, all this, I haven't even contributed 50% to any of these activities. I have an entire team. I have a VP of Advocacy, VP Information, VP of Engagement, and VP Information. So, and I also have the help of the graduate school, Colleen Webb. And it's through this support that we've been able to accomplish these tasks. And it's from the support and leadership of my past presidencies that we've been able to do this. And I just want to echo that because from what Hayden says, this negativity that sometimes comes from minoritized group, either from wherever it comes from, in terms of people may not be doing their jobs. That's kind of rough. And I ask you to think what resources those individuals had, who was helping those individuals prosper. When you start comparing each other, what we've done. I've been able to do what I've been able to do because I've had support, I have a team, and other people are basically giving me ideas and I'm just running with it. And that'll be all. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Newberger. You really utilized the space, something that has rarely been done. Yeah, keep it up.
Howdy, y'all. I'm Reed Vega, the Director of Traditions and Programs. And first off, is anybody excited for the border war game this Saturday against Wyoming? Let's go! Yeah! All right, big energy. Love it. So I'm hoping to see a lot of y'all at the tailgate. It is our final tailgate for football of the year, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. We're gonna have a spot where even if you didn't sign up with a tailgating group and you just want to come and hang out, you can come and hang out with students from all across the university, have a bunch of fun. And then in addition to that, I'm asking for volunteers for the tailgate. For the past handful of tailgates, we've had the same people volunteering, which I'd like to thank them for their hard work and dedication. It's been amazing. However, if we could spread the load around a little bit, I think that would also be appreciated to everybody, and it would give me a chance to meet more of all of you. So I'm going to be passing around another sign-up sheet. The tailgate volunteers are needed from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. If you can only work for a 2-hour shift, that is okay. Indicate what those 2 hours are, either the first 2 or the last 2. Don't pick the middle 2. And then raise your hand if you know CSU's first down tradition. Every time we get a first down. All right. So the only people that know are the people I've already gone to telling. So CSU has a first down tradition. So every time we score a first down, the announcer says, and it is a CSU first down. And then the band's gonna play a song. And while the band is playing, everybody in the crowd is supposed to go ba 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 ba. Everybody. So it's really loud. It's a bunch of fun. All the arms in the crowd are moving. And so just as soon as you hear the announcer say it is a CSU first down, then you go along with the beat of the music. And I think it's 4 times, and then you say, "Who?" or "Go Rams." You can choose. I prefer the grunt, but it's up to y'all. And with that, I'm gonna pass around the sign-up sheet. So I hope you'll have a great rest of your evening.
Good work, really good. Hi, Senate. It's good to see you all. Love seeing you all. You all look fabulous today. Yeah, so figured to just clarify something. I was at Chair Trout's committee. Just clarifying something about opinion pieces. That's on. So if you want an opinion piece in RMSMC, like for them to post, the process of that looks like this. Essentially, you'll write the opinion piece, you'll give it to me, I'll look over the opinion piece, and then I'll send it down to them. In which case, then they will review it, and then they'll post it into the paper. The process takes about 2 days once I get it down to them. But yeah, I encourage all of you to write opinion pieces, please. It would be great. But that's just clarifying the process. If you have any questions about that, you can ask me after Senate tonight. I should be here, or whenever you see me next, either or, it works. And then the other thing is Friday is Armistice Day, or as we know it in America, Veterans Day. It's not only a celebration of our veterans, but also a celebration of the cessation of hostilities on the Western Front in 1918. I just want you all going into Friday and just going through that to remember the sacrifice that the millions of young men and women made in that war and the enormous loss of life that they all suffered to build the world that we live in today. It doesn't matter what type of world it is because they sacrificed their lives for this type of world. So just remember that as you're going through your day on Friday. But anyway, have a wonderful Senate. Thank you. That's all I have.
Anyone else from the executive branch?
I'm here.
Okay.
I'm so sorry, everybody. I had no idea there'd be this many people speaking. So I'll make my report super quick. If you don't know me, my name is Alex Silverhart. I'm the Director of Health and Wellbeing for ASCSU. And I've been working on a lot of projects lately. The blood drive was successfully completed on October 31st. We got in the high 20s for blood donations, or units of blood as they usually refer to it. So it was super successful. We're going to have 3 different blood drives in the spring. So keep your eyes peeled if you're interested in volunteering and or donating your blood. Shout out to all the individuals that had donated their blood that day, especially the members within ASCSU. I appreciate when y'all are able to help me out with my projects. And I'm also here to do the same. In terms of upcoming projects, next Wednesday, we are going to be putting together care kits for the unsheltered and the unhoused. That's going to be happening on Wednesday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. within the Senate chambers. So I would encourage you to bring your friends. It should take no more than 15-20 minutes to put together a kit, have some donut holes and some hot chocolate, and give back during this time of being grateful and being thankful. In addition to that, Director of Diversity, Charlie Williamson, and I are working on plans for World AIDS Day. This will include tabling, giving out red ribbons, having a movie night, and possibly writing a resolution regarding the deferral of men who have sex with men when it comes to donating blood. So if anyone's interested in helping with any of that, please reach out. I will be posting the Sign Up Genius for volunteering at the Care Kits event next week. I'm going to post that in the Slack within the next few minutes. Other than that, thank you all so much for everything you do in this space. Special shout out to, I believe, Ava McCall, who has been working on the Roe versus Wade letter bill, along with a few other individuals. I just think that's such an impactful bill that's being put forward. I think it's truly fantastic. So thank you specifically for everything that you do, Ava.
Okay, anyone else from the executive branch before we move on? Fantastic. Judicial reports.
Good evening, everybody. It's nice to see you all. I'll make this quick. Marcus is at presidential interviews with Rob, so that's why he's not here tonight. We have 3 amazing justices making a guest appearance in the back, so make sure you say hi. We've been really busy as a court. Coffee with the Courts was a huge success, and Elena and Amber will be working to get another one scheduled for later this semester. Other than that, we're working on academic reform. We're working on immigrant rights on campus, and Chandler just wrapped up voting registration, obviously, since the election's over. I met today with the Student Resolution Center and Student Legal Services. It was a fantastic meeting. They had a lot of really good feedback for us. I'll debrief you all at a later date. That meeting was literally at like 4:30, so I haven't even really like reviewed my notes or anything. But other than that, we have an AUHB hearing next Tuesday, so they're keeping us busy. And with that, I will leave you. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Before we get into confidence business, I hope everyone's well rested from last night's Nerd Super Bowl. Yeah, hopefully everyone voted, and if you didn't, you should. Yeah, you can't anymore, but confidence business. Will the parliamentarian please put 2 hours on the confidence clock? Old business, Lex 5202, vote of confidence clarification. And then any changes that were made in committee.
So for University Affairs, we looked at Lex 5204, vote of confidence clarification. We made additions to clarify the process for write-in candidates, further clarification on what a vote of confidence is, and removing section 802's current subsection B's A and B subsections.
Any questions? Yes, sure, try.
I just realized something. I'm gonna also just write fix something. If you can go up to, I believe it's endorsement. Secretary Waller's title is Secretary of State, not Chief of State. And then just a quick point of order, there are no questions. It's just a discussion debate period because it's on the second page, if that makes sense. So
Right.
there's discussion debate on this last.
That was more like question for the changes. That
Never
were here.
mind, sorry.
Yeah. All right, any questions for the changes? If not, we'll move into a period of discussion and debate. Okay, seeing none. Well, raise your placard, Senator. Yeah, Senator Correa. Yeah.
All right, Mr. Speaker.
Lex 5202, the clarifying vote of confidence, is a very problematic and inconsistent piece of legislation. While the name suggests it clarifies the procedure, its main goal is to amend it in such a way that certain candidates can be barred from running if they differ ideologically from the majority of the Senate, something that happened last year but was luckily averted. The Constitution, as it currently stands, clearly states the process that should be followed. And unlike last year, it's currently accompanied by a Supreme Court opinion, which is Supreme Court Opinion 5103, that makes it immensely clear that the vote of confidence is based on the candidate's ability to follow parliamentary procedure, period. The due process was not followed last year, which is why the minutes had to be amended and the vote redone. This Lex enables the wrong process that happened last year to become the right process. Diving deeper, looking at subsection 8, clause C2, that states, during discussion and debate period, all discussions shall be relevant to the discussion of the individual candidate's presentation and question and answer times. This shall include discussions of the candidate's relevant competencies, such as effectiveness, knowledge, impartiality, or ability to be so, knowledge or intent to gain knowledge, relevant experiences, previously demonstrated ability to follow governing documents, including but not limited to the use of ad hominem attacks or responsibilities related to the position of the Speaker of the Senate. If we look closely, we see that it states discussion and debate shall be based on Q&A and respective candidates' presentation. Pretty straightforward, isn't it? No, the statements below actually nullifies it. The words effectiveness, intent, and mainly relevant competencies make it so vague, Mr. Speaker, that anything can be asked. I would like for senators to think, why would it be written in such a confusing manner? To be honest, it is pretty evident to me. That's just one thing. Let's examine further. Under the same section, there is another subsection that talks about political affiliation. While this is something that cannot be talked about, it will inadvertently end up being a huge part of the vote of confidence process. This is something we desperately need to avoid, and this Lex fails to address it effectively as there are no de facto measures to counteract it. Again, under the same subsection, we talk about ad hominem attacks. Full disclosure, the way it is currently stated was partially proposed by me in Internal Affairs. I wanted to ensure that if this legislation passes, there would be some sort of balance, as initially it was written in such a way that all forms of ad hominem attacks could be talked about. While ad hominem attack discussions are usually important, over here, our goal should be to let students decide that. Are we really being democratic by deciding what's good and not good for the general student population, especially when the election process is all about it? There were statements made within this chamber last couple of weeks that would fall under ad hominem attacks, but no such strike was issued. One of the statements was, what a way to take accountability, Nick. That would lead to only a few unlucky people getting a strike and some not getting a strike. This also benefits members currently in the legislative cabinet. There was also an instance where a member of the legislative cabinet falsely called out another senator for ad hominem attacks when it clearly was not. This goes to show that the ability to issue strikes can and will be misused. I would encourage my fellow senators to ensure that the process of election is completely in the hands of completely in the hands of the student population, and that the Senate will not get a larger say when it comes to elections. I do wish to see changes regarding this process, but the way it is currently stated in our Constitution is so much better and fair compared to these proposed amendments. To end it all, I would summarize my arguments. The Lex claims to clarify vote of confidence, but actually is amending it to allow something that was considered unconstitutional last year. This legislation is written in such a vague manner that it says something and does something else. 3. Constitutional amendments, unlike bylaws, are made keeping the future in mind. 4 years from now, I would not be surprised if this process were to be used to suppress dissenting opinions like it was last year. Fortunately, the thing that happened last year was undone. But should this Lex pass, all the incidents of last year will happen again. A candidate would lose the ability to contest despite having all the required qualifications. Number 4, ad hominem attacks are subjective. Any member of the legislative cabinet can give a strike, and hence this could be misused by members of legislative cabinet. I am not saying this is going to happen this year. It could. But when I say this, I'm keeping the future in mind. I would appeal and encourage my fellow senators to vote no on this piece of legislation. An abstention would indirectly support this legislation, and I would once again appeal to everyone to vote no on this piece of legislation. Thank you, and I yield, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Senator Hill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Excuse me. Mr. Speaker, executive members, fellow justices, Senate colleagues, friends in the galleries, and my fellow Rams with CSU. I speak to you today to oppose this piece of legislation due to the radical changes in interpretations of this lex. Now, I will state and have always stated that I do not believe that we should meddle in any election in which democratic processes should be maintained. I do not believe that we, as a Senate, should dictate the election in which the student body should have a voice over. We should not dictate a procedure for a student electorate of 32,000 students from around 45 members. However, my statement is in contradiction with the following statement of this lex. During the discussion and debate period, all discussions shall be relevant to the discussions of the individual, the candidate's presentation, and quote unquote question and answer times. This shall include discussions of the candidate's relevant competencies, competencies such as effectiveness, knowledge, impartiality, or ability to be so, knowledge or intent to gain knowledge, relevant experience previously demonstrated, ability to follow the governing documents, including but not limited to the use of ad hominem attacks, or responsibilities related to the position of the Speaker of the Senate. Now, the statement of ad hominem attacks in this paragraph is the subject matter of the reasoning of the dissent in which I am giving this moment. This one phrase has the potential to instill a radical change within our election process because it is open to immense subjective interpretation. The word ad hominem is the culprit of such subjectivity. What constitutes as ad hominem may not be ad hominem for someone else. I believe this phrase gives no tangible way of maintaining an objective count of ad hominem attacks. This subjectivity serves as a dangerous precedent in how the Senate screens candidates, which can have a potential to take away voices from the student body of 32,000 students, voters. Hypothetically, let's say that a group of people do not simply like the candidate and will interpret their voice as ad hominem. Then it will be easy to screen the candidate without a referendum. I believe that this piece of legislation's purpose is to allow certain members in the Senate to have control over who gets to lead the ASCSU Senate branch for political gain. In a democratic society, sometimes we will not get the candidate that we want. That's how it is. Therefore, screening such candidates to bend to one's political will is in essence reprehensible. These measures take away voices from our voters who have entrusted us to defend the school, their right to vote. And what are we doing? We're taking it away. We're meddling with it. I have talked to many of my constituents of mine, and overwhelmingly, they disagree with the notion that the student elected Senate should have a say in which a candidate will be able to be run for an election. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, I encourage my colleagues to vote no on this piece of legislation so that we can maintain our integrity for our democratic institution that we are so blessedly given, and give the students their own voices to be heard. If someone is indeed determined to have conducted an ad hominem attack, let the voters decide. That's what's beautiful about our democratic process. Let the voters decide. We should let the voters decide as they have access to the ASCSU recordings and other media that are portrayed, the Rocky Student Collegian, BTV, and of course, YouTube Senate page. In addition, we must consider that this change to the Constitution, which will have permanent and lasting impacts. We must hold any stature in the highest litmus that we can have. I mean, clauses that opens up to broad interpretation is a dangerous, and I repeat, dangerous precedent that can lead to multiple ramifications. A change in the Constitution must be kept with the utmost objectivity. not to be open for political subjective interpretation. I have been in Senate for longer than anyone in this room, and I will tell you that Senate is one of the most political and subjective body in ASCSU, in my opinion. Therefore, ASCSU should not, cannot, and should not be held to maintain this radical change. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, I will be voting no on this piece of legislation. And I once again encourage my colleagues to vote no in the name of democracy. Mr. Speaker, I yield.
Point of clarification, are we in discussion and debate right now? We are, thank you. What was that, Senator? Kelly? How much time was on the clock? Well, it's 20 minutes initially of discussion and debate. We're currently at 10 after the two speeches. So Senator Lowe on Zoom, and then we'll get to you, Senator Mocha.
I want to encourage my fellow senators to vote yes. And I want to encourage you to vote yes because this is an equitable interpretation of the Constitution. Our Constitution, as it is written, is mirrored off of the founding documents of this country, which represent very few of the marginalized voices in this room.
Yeah. Is that as far as it goes, especially?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Try again, Senator Lowe. We're just trying to figure out the volume.
Okay, is the volume okay now?
Is that better? Yes, thank you.
I want to encourage my fellow senators to vote yes on this piece of legislation. I want to do so because this is an equitable piece of legislation that is seeking to make the Constitution reflect more of our voices. The Constitution as it stands was written and is based off of the documents of the, sorry, I lost my train of thought. This document as it stands was written and is based on very few of the voices in this room. Equity is often called many things and is scary to many as it means there is change. I believe that this piece of legislation is a step to making these documents more equitable and reflecting our voices. As the Constitution as it is written now reflects document that has included very few of our voices in this room. I want to encourage you to vote yes, because it is a step in the right direction. Thank you. I yield.
Thank you, Senator Lowe. Senator Mocha, you're next.
Good evening, Senate. With this right here, I feel like I can see both sides of this, and I don't know if that's ever really been said in the Senate before. I see the idea of wanting to help prevent people that aren't qualified from taking office. I think that's a good idea. But I think with this bill, the thing that I'm trying to figure out is I need a little bit more clarification. My concern would be, you know, a year down the road or 2 years down the road, we have a Senate that's maybe not the best or a lot of very not good individuals. I'm trying to get it, you know where I'm trying to get, and then they take advantage of this. So I think that I would really like very well clear, defined, structured rules on how this will be followed through. And I'd like to see that because I do want to support this, but I also want a lot of clarification with that. And I want to see if this is like a permanent thing or not. And if this is something that we could go back and revisit every year so that we can keep this controlled and it can serve the purpose that we want it to serve. So that's pretty much all I got to say is I just want to see a little more clarification. And I do see both sides to this right now, but I do want to support this if it can be clarified and it can kind of go the way that I want it to. Thank you, everyone, and I yield.
Thank you, Senator Mocha. Chair Aslan.
Okay. Hi all. So I did chair this committee even before when I was vice chair because this was written by our former chair, now Senator Athey. So some of the changes that we made that I could further explain relating to ad hominem attacks were specifically placed in order to align with the 3 strike rule that our Constitution holds for ad hominem attacks, including the first one being administered by any member of the legislative cabinet. I believe possibly very similar for the second one, and the third one, which is delivered by the chair of the Senate session. So we put the second one. This is indicating if you've had 2 instances of ad hominem attacks because ad hominem is very vague. No, not, it is. Ad hominem attacks are very vague. The dictionary definition for it is directed against, like an argument or a reaction directed against a person rather than a position. So it's very vague. And so some clarification was two of them, because one of them could have been an honest mistake in word choice. Also, furthermore, the Constitution in and of itself for vote of confidence is very vague as it is right now. There is 2 sections for it referring to Speaker of the Senate. Only one of them specifically labels vote of confidence. There's only 2 mentions of the word phrase vote of confidence in the Constitution. In my personal opinion, voting yes on this Lex would make it a lot more clear for future years to come. And also, any edits to our Constitution can be made through the exact same process that this one is going through right now, writing a Lex, presenting it on the floor, and having the 3 reads done. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield.
Thank you, Chair Trout. We also have 15 minutes that were spent on the clock. Okay. Chair Trout.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So as a co-author of this Lex, I do have to disagree with a couple of points. One, if we're on that part, some things that are not included in that, such as voting history, which is within this space, and just in general voting history, as well as political affiliation. Saying that there is no ramifications for if someone does bring that up is entirely incorrect. I know Speaker DeSalvo has in previous, if something is not germane based off the law, he will shut you down on that. And that's the expectation of every speaker chairing that. So I appreciate you doing that really, really effectively. But to say that the current interpretation of it is better than this, which expands on a lot of confusions from the previous discussions as referenced by previous members, isn't really in good faith. I'm going to quote the Constitution on this, on the article that's talking about the vote of confidence. This is found in section 802 candidates, and I'm using the Lex 5201 version of the Constitution, so just keep that in mind. Quote, all candidates for Speaker of the Senate must be presented by the elections manager at the Senate session during the first week of campaigning in chamber to the Senate and receive individual vote of confidence for the candidacy by 1/3 vote. None of that really changes in this Lex. If we scroll to the top, the 1/3 need to pass a candidate with vote of confidence is still there. This just explains of what is relevant and what is not relevant to a discussion. I think a lot of us, especially those who have been in this space a lot, have been in this space for a long time. It takes more than parliamentary procedure to run an effective Senate. It's a lot further than that. And quite frankly, while there is a lot of outreach within this space, the biggest thing I would argue is that the people that really know how this space operates fundamentally are the members of this space. They have seen how things operate, they have learned, they have grown with that. Outside members may not have seen that. They might watch a Senate session or two or after a big event. Additionally, I also want worth noting that originally the Speaker of the Senate was intended to be a vote inside of the Senate and in the Senate alone. When someone had an issue with that and they wanted it to go to the students, which I think is a very fair compromise, they made a vote of confidence to ensure that the Speaker was competent by Senate standards and be able to run the space from there, and the students make that decision on their own. Because again, the average student doesn't know how the space operates. No one came into the space knowing how the space operated. Regardless of how long you watch Senate sessions or anything like that, the space is confusing. And we need to ensure a speaker where, yes, there's going to be road bumps within that they can run the space effectively. And that this Senate space, or the current Senate, has that confidence. That's why the vote of confidence is a thing. Expanding on that and making sure that there is no ambiguity is not, I don't think, a very harmful thing. I think clarification is something that is really essential for this body to continue to operate effectively, and so we don't have confusions like we did last year. That's all I have. I would love to answer any questions anyone had of this that have not already discussed to me or the other author. And Mr. Speaker, I would also entertain a motion to previous question. I make the motion to move the previous question.
Second.
Oh, and after exhausting the speakers list, my apologies. Okay, just exhaust the speakers list. That's my motion.
Okay, and you want to be added to the speakers list? Okay. So there's been a motion to exhaust the speakers list. Yes, Senator Reese. Yeah. Anyone else who wishes to be added to the speakers list before that is done? No? Okay, is there a second to end the period of discussion debate after the speakers list? Both speakers lists are exhausted. Is there a second? Okay. All those in favor of doing that, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Abstentions? Okay. So this passes. Chair Doyle.
So as chair of Constitution Caucus, can I just say how pleased I am about all of the discussion on the Constitution, and I cannot wait to see your guys' faces at Constitution Caucus tomorrow. It's gonna be fun. Secondly, there has been a lot of discussion on this bill and lacking elements. I just like to remind everyone that no bill is by itself a complete document. This bill is just a section of the Constitution, and it references other parts of the Constitution as well as our bylaws. So just keep that in mind when thinking about this bill. And yeah, I can't wait to see you all at Constitution Caucus. I yield, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Senator Laffey.
So just a few brief thoughts. I think that this is a well-written bill for what it's supporting. I totally agree that the current constitution where it says possess an adequate amount of parliamentary procedure is pretty vague. Like it's hard to be more vague than that. And that this document, this Lex better defines what that looks like. I think that trying to make this Lex more clear or more defined is nearly impossible because it puts Senate into a box that not necessarily wants to be here. So if you're for the Senate being ratified by the Speaker, this seems to, in my opinion, be a good Lex. This can't really be an objective document because this can't be like an objective document about like the process because it doesn't really come from an objective process in the first place. Us deciding who gets to run and who doesn't get to run is not an objective process. And it's one that I don't think should be there. It's not like you're saying, you know, you have to be 18 to vote or you have to have a GPA. I'm talking about the United States, right? You have, or like in the Senate space, you have a GPA or whatever. Those are objective standards that should be imposed. But when we talk about something like this, it becomes a very objective standard, and that becomes very dangerous for Senate. So I think that saying that the students of Colorado State University cannot make a good decision about the Speaker of the Senate is rather insulting to the people that we're representing. So I think that this process should be abolished completely. I know that would take another Lex and whatever, but I know we're talking about this one right now. So, and that's for more reasons that folks have already mentioned. I won't go in and hash that, but anyway, that's just my opinion, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Senator Athey.
I was about to correct you to chair, and that's not a thing anymore. This text is actually specifically there to expand upon what is currently in the Constitution for the vote of confidence. The reason that last year went so poorly was because there's absolutely no rules set out for the process. The rules in the Constitution currently are around 4 lines of text. As the person with the longest serving senator and of the longest serving ASCSU member titles, I've been through 3 votes of confidence, and while we often use the most recent one for an example, they have never gone well in this space. As far as I can tell, a lot of the frustration with this document seems to be coming from personal places of hurt and therefore spite and how members have experienced the vote of confidence in the past. The entire point of this Lex is to ensure that the kerfuffle that happened last year isn't going to happen again. This Lex also ensures that members that feel they were treated unfairly in the vote of confidence last year have an opportunity to appeal. The entire point of this Lex is to ensure that things are done fairly for both the members that experienced the vote of confidence last year as a voter and those that experienced it as a candidate for the Speaker of the Senate. Everyone that participated in that vote last year was hurt by it, and the goal of this Lex is to ensure that everyone is able to stay objective and ensure that their constituency and themselves are represented fairly. This does not interfere with the democratic processes. In fact, it ensures that the students are given qualifications before they start.
When someone wants to run for president in the real US government, they have to go through checks to make sure that they can do the job and be trusted with the job. That is extraordinarily similar to what the vote of confidence is. Everyone speaks about how people are still going to vote with bias, but fail to realize that in every vote, both in ASCSU and in the big official US governments, vote with personal bias. We cannot stop it entirely, but this flex is there to help prevent the vote of confidence from being personally based. Ensuring representation for our offices, especially those at SCPS that are often left in the dust, are always used as personal reasoning for voting on no on things. When every single person in this room votes with their personal identities, it's just an interesting coincidence that those who are against ensuring diversity, equity, and inclusion are always the people without those identities. When Chair Trout and I wrote this document at the beginning of the year, we intended to write it in a way that was going to be represented fairly. Ad hominem attacks must be vague because they cannot foresee all of the harmful problems that can happen in this state. On top of that, the ad hominem attack definition that we have in the bylaws is vague, and this flex is not editing the bylaws. We must make changes as they come, and if people are annoyed about the definition of an ad hominem attack, let's work on fixing that. Let's make that change in the bylaws and try to think through all of the possibilities, not within this flex. A frustration that the definition of an ad hominem attack should not, sorry, let me start that one over. Frustration with the definition of an ad hominem attack definition should not be a reason to say no to this flex. If someone has caused enough harm to has lost their speaking rights, those actions should be able to be spoken about. Also, as Chair Trout stated, when the Speaker of the Senate was created, it was not intended to ever go to the students. This position is a managerial position. The Speaker's job description isn't outward facing. They can work on pet projects, but their main goal is to be an impartial guide to make sure our spaces run smoothly. Ensuring that someone is running the space is going to run it equitably and fairly is the entire point of this flex. I urge members that are unwilling to vote yes on this document to take a closer look at their personal reasoning and make sure that they are voting in a way that is representing everyone and isn't coming from a place of hurt and anguish. I yield.
Thank you, Senator Reese.
I yield to redundancy.
Thank you. We're now moving on to the secondary speakers list. Senator Milka.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Basically, I'm just looking, I basically have questions that hopefully will eventually be answered, or just kind of like concerns. And I'm new to this space, so I don't fully understand everything yet. So I definitely like the idea of if people are saying like horrible remarks or very like bad things that we can basically get rid of them. My concern is what if the wrong people get into the legislative cabinet? Who holds legislative cabinet accountable? I don't know that. So that's a question that I have. And if that can kind of be described to me, then hopefully I'll be able to vote yes on this. And yeah, I basically yield. That's my question is who would hold the people who give strikes and make these decisions accountable? I yield.
Point of information, that power is held by the entire student body as written in this Senate bylaws.
And if you're kind of asking how that works, like in theory, that's how that would work, but it really doesn't end up working that way. So Nick holds me accountable. Nick holds the rest of us accountable, if that answers your question.
I'm Nick.
I have another point of information. The Supreme Court can also hold people accountable. There are internal complaints, there are opinion requests. And on top of that, there is something called the legislative resignation of a magistrate, in which the Senate can write a bill that will remove someone from their seat in the legislative cabinet, which can also help hold them accountable.
Thank you, Senator Hale.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I won't go, I won't repeat myself what I said, but I would like to say a couple of things that if you look on the job descriptions, it says the Speaker of the Senate is held accountable by the students. Are they really though? If we screen them to, okay, my thing is that ad hominem attacks, that statement is again, subjective, as I mentioned. One could find something in ad hominem attack where another individual would not. I believe that, the Senate of 42 should not decide. That's too small of a population or a group to decide what's ad hominem or not. We need the student body to vote because the Speaker of the Senate is accountable to the student body. And so if they are accountable to the student body, as it says, then it must be vote. Also, like, and I see this the speaker votes in for passing notes. I'd like to make a point of order that because this is voting on elects, it has to be a roll call vote according to the bylaws.
It could, if someone wants to make the motion, we could use a different form of voting procedure.
I would support roll call because I believe the students should know who's going to vote on the way they're voting.
I would like to motion to do this by secret ballot.
Okay. Okay, so there's a second to do this vote by secret ballot. Associate Senator Torres Doxy, did you have something before we do that? Or?
I just had something to say real quick, but
Okay, can it be done after this vote? Okay, cool. So all those in favor of doing this by a secret ballot vote, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? It does look like the yeas have it. They'll do it by placard just to make sure because there was division. So all those in favor, raise your placard. This is also procedural, so associate senators can vote on this. Okay, all those opposed? And then abstentions? So with a vote of 38 to 3-0, this motion passes. It will be done by secret ballot. Yeah, so to pass this piece of legislation, since it's elects, it will need a 2/3 threshold to pass. And so because of that, abstentions wouldn't be counted for the overall vote. So if you abstain, meaning you neither support, no, nor are against it, your vote would not be counted towards that 2/3 threshold. Does that make sense?
Point of information. So does it have to be 2/3 of yes is 2/3 of yes of all voting members or of those who either vote yes or no?
Of all those who voted yes or no, because abstentions aren't counted.
Thank you, Mr. Smith.
Right.
Can I also motion for a 5-minute recess while the ballots are being, not the ballots, the votes are being taken?
Yeah, so there's a motion to, right, but this is after we vote. We haven't started yet. So there's been a motion to go into recess after voting. There has been a second. All those in favor of doing a 5-minute recess while ballots are being counted, say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Abstentions? Okay. Associate Senator Torres Doxy, did you have something? We still have one person on the speakers list as well. Okay, Senator Correa.
So I'd like to address a couple of issues that were brought up from the folks supporting this piece of legislation.
Yeah.
So it talks about it being vague as it's in the Constitution. I would like to let members know that it's vague in the lex, not vague in the Constitution, mainly because of the fact that we currently have a Supreme Court opinion. Supreme Court opinion is number 5103 that very clearly states, let me read it. In a 6-0 vote, the Supreme Court, the ASCSU Supreme Court found that the vote of confidence is defined as a vote of knowing.
Are you okay?
Yeah. We're good. You. Go ahead, Rohit.
Okay. In a 6-0 vote, the ASCSU Supreme Court found that the vote of confidence is defined as a vote of knowing parliamentary procedure and ability to follow through with it. Citing section 802. I'll be waiting.
Mr. Speaker, a motion for a 5-minute recess right now.
Okay, all those in favor say aye. Okay. Get out of here. Yeah. My understanding. You did not know, like, I've got to walk around and see all the.
Reach for one of these jaguars. No, so like how. This is a very interesting.
Yeah. We're in recess right now. Yeah, I mean, we're in recess right now, so. I don't know. I don't know if we're voting right now. Yeah, so if. please do that
Talk about what happened to
and
us.
get the votes up here. Oh, yeah, that's right. Never mind. Get back to your seats. Senator Correa did not yield.
So sorry. I mean.
Legislative amendment. Yeah, that's where it is. That's what's additional. Right, legislative. Yeah.
The ones that were given before.
See, that's what I figured. I remembered it was too big somewhere. I looked for it, couldn't find it. In my understanding, it's all like.
I think we're traditionally.
I want to elected until house.
So I guess it is.
Maybe even one.
I'm biased. Go home.
We also. Rick did not do this.
Yeah.
Been figuring out.
Yeah.
So apparently on the second one. Right. It was a question that. I think it's not.
All the. Right.
I know, that's my bad.
So I guess you all must be.
Voted. That does not count.
You're getting me off. These ones are not counting.
And if you still have a ballot, please hold on to it and don't accept another one, please.
Did you recycle?
I mean, I voted twice in the midterms, but.
So did I.
Okay, Senator Correa. Good. Okay, that's fine.
Because Salva, did you really just stop the count?
Yeah, yeah. Funny story, everyone. I figured I'd share this with everyone. I have earned quite the badge of honor over the past 24 hours. Lauren Boebert has blocked me on Facebook. Soon to be former Congresswoman. Lauren Boebert.
I would like to say that it is not quite confirmed yet. She's gonna be both behind.
Okay, okay. Lauren Boebert fan club. Kyle is the president.
Yes, I lost him. Yes, very close, very, very nice. Like, right now. Yeah.
I think the good thing, after we get done with this Lex, everything else should run fairly quickly.
Did everyone get a ballot that can vote?
Yeah.
You think, oh yeah, you did, so we have, okay. 3 more? Can you keep your hand raised? If you are available. 1, 2, 3, 4? 4? You raise your hand.
I want to say for clarification, if a senator or colleague is missing, you as associate senator can vote in their place.
Do that.
Point of information. Can people on Zoom revote now?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh, no, not yet. Don't fill out your ballots yet. Senator Correa has not yielded the floor. So,
Thank you. Sorry.
yeah. All right, is that everyone? Senator Correa, you may continue.
I did lose my chain of thought. So I'm gonna see where I was. Okay. So I wanted to bring it to the Senate's attention that there are a couple points made about it being vague in the Constitution right now. I would like them to know that we currently have a Supreme Court opinion, numbered Supreme Court opinion 5103, that clearly states that in a 6-0 vote, the ASCSU Supreme Court found that a vote of confidence is defined as the vote of knowing parliamentary procedure and the ability to follow through with it, citing section 802. So it's very clear over here on what processes need to be followed, on what the debate and discussion needs to be done by. So it's not vague at this point. It was, but it's not anymore because the Supreme Court has clearly stated what it actually means. Additionally, in a 5-1 vote, the ASCSU Supreme Court found that ad hominem attacks are not part of parliamentary procedure and should not be discussed during the vote of confidence. This Lex right now enables that to happen. So basically what was considered illegal last year, according to our constitution, this Lex is trying to make that legal by supporting itself from the Supreme Court opinion. If you all do want to check it out, it's Supreme Court opinion 5103, it is on the website. For members asking if certain amendments can be made, I would say no, because for amendments to be made with this particular section again, another Lex needs to be brought forward. It needs to have 3 readings and pass with 2/3 majority. It's something that's going to waste a lot of Senate time. We've also had discussion about folks from outside. I would like to let you all know that Speaker DeSalvo over here was not part of Senate last year. And if this Lex, could you stop that, the clicking, the pen clicking?
There isn't a pin.
Even if there is, that point of personal privilege, even if there are pens clicking, that is a fidget toy for many people in our space, so they can actually be able to focus on what you're saying. That would be why that is happening. Thank you.
Totally. Okay, so I want to bring the point that since we were discussing about outside members, this Lex would act as a barrier for folks that are not a part of ASCSU currently to run for the speaker. I would like to let y'all know that our current speaker was not a part of ASCSU. I by no means am saying that he's perfect, but he's done a very good job by being speaker. And he's done an excellent job in my opinion. And this Lex would have prohibited him from running in some ways. It really depends on the members within Senate at that point. There was also discussion about the vote of confidence, and that initially it was decided that it's going to be within Senate, someone opposed, and now it's within Senate and outside. I would like to let you all know that earlier the speaker position was held by the vice president, who did not go through any forms of ratification. When the position of speaker was created, that's when the whole ratification conundrum started. And we do have a process right now. It's not like we don't. This Lex is making it actually even more way, because once this Lex passes, the Supreme Court's opinion that currently stands will not have any actual value. If you are in favor of abolishing this process completely, I would suggest you all to vote no on this piece of legislation, because the way it stands currently in the Constitution is much better than this Lex proposes. Coming back to the 3-strike rule that was brought to everybody's attention, and I would like to again say that was something that was proposed by me in internal only and only because should this piece of legislation pass, we have some form of check and balance. And remember, the 3-strike rule can be misused. And since members have already agreed that the definition of ad hominem within our bylaws is vague, I think that should be corrected first before any such kind of Lex is passed, and not pass this Lex and then correct that. It should be in the opposite direction, which is why I would again ask members within the space to vote no on this piece of legislation. Thank you, and I yield, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Senator Correa was the last person on our secondary speakers list. So we'll now move into the voting period. And we are also still going to do that 5-minute recess while the votes are being counted. So feel free to mingle, meet some people.
Also, if you're willing and able to bring them up to me, please do. If not, toss it to someone else who can bring it up here. Thank you.
This is a legal ballot.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes.
I do inform them about Kelly's vote. Okay, so On Facebook, she has her privacy settings changed to where you can't find her personal Facebook page, but I have 2 mutual friends with her somehow. And so I messaged her and I said, take the L, bozo. And then she blocked me.
What did you say?
I said, take the L, bozo. And then she blocked me. You know, hopefully she does the next because I'll be embarrassed if she doesn't. It's still really close, yeah, and they only have 2 counties that don't have all the results in, but they have 97% of the results. Yeah, I voted for Grace, yeah, because that's where I'm from Pueblo, and she represents the district, so. After she's out, then I'll switch my voter registration here. Yeah, hopefully, fingers crossed.
Do you know the link for the legislation tracker?
It's not working actually.
It's what?
Okay, everyone. So this did need a 2/3 threshold to pass. It does meet that 2/3 threshold barely. By a vote of 25 to 12 to 3, this passes. All right. Now we could take it into full gear, speed it up, Lex 5203. This is on third reading, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Vaishnavi?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, and if we want to present changes made to this. Yeah, Trisha.
Sorry, really quick, my laptop was like not having a good time before we left. Let me pull up my thing really quick. Okay, here we go. University Affairs Committee reviewed Lex 5203, rectifying a failing in ASCSU accessibility. The only change we made was some wording in section 2. Yeah. Instead of saying all students, we just put everybody, just so, or everyone, just so anyone who is a non-student, it encompasses them too. This Lex was discharged out of committee with unanimous consent.
Thank you. Any questions for the committee chair before we move to discussion and debate? Seeing none, we'll now enter a 20-minute period of discussion and debate, starting with the first raised placard. If there is none, then I would entertain a motion to previous question.
I would like the motion to previous question.
Is there a second? Okay. All those in favor of ending period of discussion and debate and going into a vote, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, abstentions? Okay. So this would have to be done by roll call vote unless someone wants to make a motion for another voting method.
I motion for placard vote.
Okay, is there a second? Okay, all those in favor of doing this by placard vote, say aye.
Aye.
All those against, abstentions? Okay. So now all of those in favor of passing Lex 5203, rectifying a failing of ASCSU accessibility, raise your placard. Oh, and by the way, only senators can vote on this. So if you're an associate and you're not filling in for anyone, do not raise the placard. Okay, no votes? And abstentions. A vote of 35 to 0 to 0, this Lex passes. Lex 5204, institution of guidance for special sessions. This on the third reading as well? No, okay. So a chair, if you want to go over the changes that were made. Sure,
Yes, I can. I was gonna, because I'm an author, I was gonna yield to my secretary. I am unsure where Senator Melka is.
If it would be permissible, he has what he's gonna say here, so I can just read off the screen for him.
That would be great.
Okay. So from Senator Melka and from University Affairs Committee. Lex 5205, University Affairs Committee reviewed Lex 5205, institution of guidance for special sessions. Again, we only made one change, and that change was we changed the required quorum for emergency session from 20% down to 18% to account for the varying sizes of future senates. We did keep the baseline of how many senators and associate senators, chairs, etc. need to be present. Again, this Lex was discharged with unanimous consent.
Thank you. Any questions? Seeing none, we'll move into a 20-minute period of discussion and debate, starting with the first raised placard. If there is none, I would entertain a motion to previous question.
A motion to previous question.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. So all those in favor of ending the period of discussion and debate, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, abstentions, this motion passes. And, okay, and I would entertain a motion to do the voting method different than roll call.
A motion for a placard vote.
Okay. All those in favor of doing this vote by a placard vote instead of roll call, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, abstentions, okay. So now everyone, and this includes senators, only unless you're filling in for, unless you're an associate filling in for a senator.
Sorry, I was gonna make a motion.
Okay, so all those wishing to vote yes on Lex 5204 institution of guidance for special sessions, please raise your placards.
No. Okay.
And then 200. Keep them up, please. Sorry. $31, $32. You said 2 on Zoom? Yeah, it's 32. Okay, no votes. Abstentions. With a vote of 32-0, this Lex passes. Moving on to new business, Akil, you're up. This is Bill 5207, the Groom Transportation Act.
Mr. Speaker, for an professional privilege, can you add my name to the endorsements list, please?
Yeah.
Senator Ford?
Senator Hill. Veterinary medicine and biomedical sciences.
Sorry, College of Veterinary Medicine and Biomedical Sciences.
Yeah, College of Veterinary Medicine.
Yes, I'm doing that.
Hello, everybody. I'm Akil Peniti, the Deputy Director of International Affairs at ASCSU from the Department of Diversity and Inclusion. And today I'm here to present the bill for the Groom Transportation Act, as you can see in the slideshow over here. So we all know for a fact that a lot of students from our university tend to travel to their homes over the winter break to visit their families and their loved ones. So the aim of this project is to provide free transportation for all the students at CSU to and fro from Colorado State University at the Transit Center and the respective residence halls to the Denver International Airport over the winter break within the mentioned dates from December 7th, 2022 to January 21st, 2023. And this project has been initially laid out by my predecessor, Sanskar, who was the Deputy Director of International Affairs last year. And he carried out this project with the mentioned budget up here with almost $12,000 from ASCSU. But then there were like a few loopholes associated with this project last year, with one of the biggest ones being non-CSU students utilizing the code and hence it being misused and abused. So this time around, I have had conversations with the Groom administrative team up here, and I have made sure to ensure and lay out policies to avoid such kind of discrepancies. And we've also made sure to read the reports on, like say, once in a couple of days or even daily if needed, to ensure that this project is laid out and goes on in a smooth manner, unlike the last time around, as the last time around the weekly reports have been read once in a week, and in the meanwhile a lot of students who aren't from CSU or people who aren't from CSU tended to use the code and probably misuse it. And we on behalf of ASCSU strive to provide a better environment for all the students out here, and the Groom shuttle services is one of the best ways to do so over the winter break, especially with a lot of students traveling in and out of CSU. And one of the major goals of this project is to make sure that the international students and outer students who would be arriving to CSU over the spring, over the spring, before the start of spring semester, to be able to utilize this code in a better way so that they could, have a best first experience while they come to CSU. So that is like one of the major goals for this project. And for this project, we are planning on allocating $7,000 from the executive cabinet, and then we are seeking $7,000 in addition to that from the Senate discretionary budget, as mentioned in the bill over here. So this is what it's all about. I'm up for any questions or concerns that you have, so please feel free to address them, and I'd be happy to hear them and answer that. Thank you.
Fantastic. We'll do a 10-minute Q&A period. Please just try to make them general questions going forward, because a lot of this stuff can be kind of smoothed out in committee for the really in-depth questions, but we will take questions now if you have them. Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to previous question.
Motion, Mr. Go ahead. Motion previous question, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, is there a second?
Seconded.
Okay, all those in favor of ending the Q&A period, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Abstentions? Fantastic. I will send this bill to Budgetary Affairs and University Affairs.
Thank you.
Yeah, let's clap. Yeah. All right, Bill 5208, biannual town hall with CSU PD. Senator Nguyen, is this your first bill ever?
Yeah.
Congrats. Congrats.
You all hear me? Okay, so this bill is basically like 1 second. Like per semester, there'll be one police town hall open to the public and CSU students. And this is a great opportunity for them to directly talk to CSU PD for like town hall. Each town hall will have at least 2 police officers and a facilitator, and hopefully at least 10 CSU students or anyone from the general public in Fort Collins to come to this town hall. This town hall will be live stream recorded, and it will be carried out in a lecture hall on campus. This town hall basically helps to goal is basically try to like bridge the gap between CSU students and CSU PD, and to help CSU students feel more comfortable and to trust CCPD more, hear their feedback on like their experiences and try to help like CCPD become more trustworthy and have a better reputation for CC students to better utilize CCPD and their resources. And I will take any questions.
Fantastic. Same rule applies. General questions. Director Welch.
Microphone.
Point of personal privilege, please use a microphone.
Will there be food at these events?
Yes, they will.
Okay.
That's all I needed to know. Let's expedite it. Just kidding. Just kidding. It was a joke. Any other questions? Yeah, Senator Taylor.
Will we have some kind of way of like looking at the types of things that students want to say so that it's not just like people going and like yelling and being all upset because I got a ticket, something like that, you know, like something to keep it like helpful.
So there'll be facilitators set there and they will help like monitor and keep it under control. It's basically like an open forum. They can ask the CCPD whatever questions they have about and feedback too on like try to improve their services. Not like, oh, I'm gonna go there and complain like I gotta take it for blah 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 blah. But it's just basically like a forum for them for opportunity for like CC students to and anyone from Port Collins if they want to like give any feedback, ask them any questions about like to prove like their services and like any questions like they're afraid to ask like them, because I know a lot of people don't want to use CCPD because they'd rather use other resources, but especially for like mental health and like addiction and other treatments, because CCPD has like always the best reputation, and there's been movements to abolish and defund CCPD, which is in my personal opinion, it's not the right move. So I feel like with these town halls, they'll help like bridge the gap between the community of CC students and CCPD. And yeah, I hope that answers your question, Senator Taylor.
Can I ask a follow-up question?
Yes, you can.
Do you have any specific examples of like why somebody might not feel good about going to the CSU PD?
So some examples would be like some CC students would see them as like too intimidating. Some of them, there were like some like examples on like some Instagram pages, like one time a girl went to CCPD to pick up something lost, and she felt intimidated by a CCPD officer, even though that CCPD officer didn't mean to. There were like also other examples I was gonna list on here, but yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you. I yield.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Mr. Speaker, I make a motion for a previous question.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor of ending the Q&A period, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, abstentions. Fantastic. We will send this bill to University Affairs and Budgetary. So we'll go into Bill 5209, but just so everyone knows, Bill 5210 has been withdrawn, but that change didn't happen until after the agenda was approved by Legislative Cabinet. So that's why it's still on there. we won't be going over it, and we won't be seeing any bill like that going forward. So Bill 5209, changing D&I caucus to Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Affairs Committee. Are these, is this your first bills as well? Yeah. Fantastic.
Hey guys, I'm just putting it up on my computer so I have a little reference. I don't know where to start with this. So we have written this bill in order to change what is now known as the D&I caucus that we have, currently chaired by Senator Salazar, Chair Salazar, I guess, to Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Affairs Committee, in which we would be hoping with this bill that instead of spending a lot of time in Senate of us talking about like DEI, and if these bills are already having DEI in it, that they need to be changed, and us arguing a lot, that this can be done in the committee time. And that during that committee time, people are able to go and they're able to still get their office hour because of course it's a committee, and you'd be able to talk about anything that you want to address with the bill, or we would be able to discuss DEI, of course, in that committee, and it would just be solely focused on DEI and how we can make just the bills that we pass in this space a little bit more equitable and inclusive. Alrighty, I think this will open the floor for some questions if anyone has any.
Senator Reese.
Thank you. So I believe in one of the whereas clauses, it says that for the 2022-2023 fiscal year, chair will be paid only half the amount due from the handling of funds 21 from 22 fiscal year. And that kind of leads me to my other, so if you could clarify that, and that also leads me to another question. Since this would be making the D&I caucus a committee, I know the committee chairs get paid, so will this be, so how do you guys envision on that being? Because I know budgetary affairs gets paid a little bit more than internal and university affairs, so if you could just clarify those for me.
Yeah, let me find that really quickly. I know off the top of my head that is written in because of last year, there was kind of a little bit of mishandling with funds, and so there's not a lot of them left, but I did talk to Jessie, and she said we do kind of have the funds, it just is where we're pulling them out of for this year, while for the next year, they will be paid through like however the chairs are paid, and for the next past years, it is in here that the chair will be paid like the university affairs and internal affairs chair. It's, yeah, so therefore hereby further enacted clause that the diversity, equity, inclusion affairs chair will be subjected to follow the ASCSU committee chair job description and is entitled to the compensation outlined with the university and internal affairs chair.
Okay, thank you. I yield, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Any other questions? Yep, Senator Taylor.
What type of bills do you envision this committee seeing? Because we have like university that sees like stuff that deals with stuff on campus. We have internal that's like stuff within Senate. So what kind of bills specifically do you think that would see?
So we did discuss this with the chair of university affairs, but it would basically be seeing just all legislation because it would be more of a D&I like focused lens. So it would just be more with like the accessibility, diversity, and all of that, and it would be just a little bit more focused rather than just the broad student body, if that answers your question.
That does. Thank you. I yield.
Any other questions? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to previous question.
Make a motion to previous question.
Is there a second? All those in favor of ending the period of Q&A say aye. All those opposed, abstentions. This passes. I will send this to internal affairs. And that is it for new business. It is,
Sorry, you should also send to the budgetary because they're handling them.
oh, yeah, true, budgetary as well. So I would like everyone to note the time. It's 8:56 and we got through 6 pieces of legislation. And now we're in ending roll call. The clerk will call the roll.
Speaker DeSalvo,
Here.
Speaker Pro Tempore Carcedo Perez. Here. Officer Bucari. Chair Alson. Here. Senator Epi. Here. Associate Senator Barron. Associate Senator Barton. Senator Bouchard. Senator Cordero.
Here.
Senator Bouchard is here.
Sorry.
Senator Correa.
Here.
Chair Doyle.
Here.
Senator Epperson.
Here.
Senator Godshaw.
Here.
Senator Johnson.
Here.
Senator Juarez.
Here.
Senator Kilburn.
Here.
Senator Kramer.
Here.
Senator Laffey. Senator Lowe.
Here.
Senator McCall. Here. Senator Milka.
Here.
Senator Lynn.
Here.
Senator Parisa. Here. Senator Pereira. Senator Reese.
Present.
Chair Ringer. Chair Salazar.
Here.
Senator Sanchez. Here. Whoa. Here. Chair Schumer. Present. Senator Shetty. Parliamentarian Sniper. Here. Senator Taylor.
Here.
Senator Thompson. Chair Trout.
Present.
Senator Dietz.
Here.
Senator Ayala. Here. Senator Hill.
Here.
Senator Ritter. Present. Senator Schmidt. Here. Senator Morgan. Present. Associate Senator Jacobs. Senator Melchior.
Here.
Associate Senator Hubley. Senator Lozoya.
Present.
Associate Senator Chacon. Senator Belker. Senator Kelly.
Present.
Associate Senator Bernard. Senator Joe. Joe, thank you. Associate Senator Laffey. Senator Nyambe. Associate Senator Saunders. Associate Senator Kelly. Here. Associate Senator Lutz.
Here.
Associate Senator Winston.
Here.
Associate Senator Barbone. Present. Senator Wright. Present. Associate Senator Torres Doxy.
Present.
I'm not sure if you're Associate Senator, but Associate Senator Joe Ford.
Here and yes, I'm associate.
And are you an Associate Senator as well?
Associate Senator Riley Winehouse.
Here.
Thank you.
Fantastic caucus reports, Women's Caucus.
Hey, y'all, we had a record-breaking attendance for Women's Caucus yesterday. We had a whopping total of 5 people show up, which was incredible. Thank you, thank you. We also got to listen to there was a RAM events going on. We listened to a couple of great bands, and we got some really good ideas for what women want to see. Women and all peoples want to see around campus. If you find a bathroom that does not have menstrual products, shoot your girl an email. We'll get it on the list. And one initiative that we're going to be working on is getting all bathrooms menstrual products. Let's go. And that concludes my Women's Caucus report. Thank you.
Thank you, Constitution Caucus.
So it has long been my assumption that Constitution is boring and no one likes to come to this caucus. But after seeing today, I have learned that the Constitution is so invigorating and exciting that I expect to see almost all of you tomorrow. And it's going to be so much fun to see all of your smiling faces. Tomorrow, we will be reviewing our proposed changes to Article 2 and 3. And then if we have extra time, we will go over Article 4, the judicial. That is all. I yield.
Thank you, DNI.
Hello, everybody. Great Senate session. I will say, if you all lovely people have Instagram and can pull out your phones right now, the Diversity and Inclusion Caucus has an Instagram at ASCSU DNI Caucus. Please follow. Thank you. Last week, the caucus was good with attendance. We had some people from exec join us. It was a good time. And then tomorrow for caucus, we're going to be looking at Chair Doyle's Lex, and then a couple of other things. And I would strongly encourage people to come. It's a fun time. We have good attendance. Yes, I yield.
Thank you. Committee reports, internal.
Hi, so last week we got through the resolution regarding the September 28th Senate for improving ASCSU Senate, and that was discharged for the 4-0-1 vote. Same meeting time and place next week. Also next week, announcement for the space that we have the election for vice chair happening. I did announce this on the Slack last week, right after I sent out the agenda, and I did announce it in committee last week as well. So please show up next week. We will also be going over the DNI to DEI affairs committee bill. So please come to that if you would like. Thank you.
Thank you, budgetary.
Hey, also, budgetary affairs tomorrow from 5 to 6. Please come. It's lots of fun. We will be looking over the CPR bill, the Groom bill, the CSUPD town hall bill, and turning the DNI caucus into a committee. So lots of stuff. Please come hang out, talk about money. It's very fun. I promise.
University affairs.
Good evening, y'all. University Affairs Committee reviewed Lex 5205, Bill 5205, and Bill 5206, and has discharged all 3. I want to take a minute to appreciate and shout out to everyone who has attended University Affairs Committee and ensured that we take maybe a whole meeting to look at all the legislation. So I want to give a shout out to y'all. Next week, we will be reviewing bills 5207 and 5208. If you have any questions, comments, concerns about university affairs or legislation that we have reviewed tonight, or want to collaborate on legislation, please let me know. I want to be a resource to y'all and help out wherever I can on that. That's all I have for now. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield.
Thank you. Legislative officer reports. I'll start with parliamentarian Sonarikar.
Hello. I chaired my first conference committee today because for the first time after me being the parliamentarian, we had some legislation to go over. So we went over the B bill and we discussed the changes university affairs and budgetary affairs made. I thank all who showed up. Last Friday, I attended the Spring Awakening musical at the University Center of Arts. Marvelous show. It touches many different aspects of teenage life, and I believe it is still there till 14th of November. So if you can make it, please go and attend. On a different note, the Indian Students Association is hosting India Night on 27th of November at LSE Ballrooms. The event is funded by BSOF and Diversity and Equity offices. So we are requesting performances from many different organizations, SDPS offices. If you are willing, if you know anyone who is willing, please reach out to ISM members. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Officer Brukari. Who was on Zoom, I believe. We'll come back to you for us.
Is it working?
Oh, no, it's working now. Yeah.
Sorry, I have to whisper. Infection, so we out here. So for staying this long. Sorry, I feel like Batman. This is kind of great. If you're not part of this, please message anyone or talk to anyone in the space. It is in the weekly report. There's a QR code. Let me know if that doesn't work. Trying to get everybody on there. And again, a reminder to attend Senate sessions. If you're an associate, that's 1 out of every 3. If you're a senator, you should be here all the time. And also to attend committees, you have to attend once at least a week. That the caucus is 2 for now. We're going to be more contingent on committee attendance moving forward. But yeah, thanks for putting up the QR code. Thank you. But I also wish you all a good night.
That was hard to understand.
Stay warm, be safe, and make healthy decisions.
Okay. Speaker Pro Tem Borka said it better.
Hi, y'all. I'm so proud to see how you've collaborated with one another tonight. It's amazing for us to go through so many pieces of legislation and for it to be 9 o'clock. It's really amazing to see us go through so many pieces of legislation together and be able to work hard to represent our constituents. One point that I will mention for today is to please not harass your fellow peers on the way that they voted. They voted the way that they voted, so please do not harass your peers on the way that they decide or don't decide to vote. That is their choice. Additionally, we have ASCSU shirts that Ben Torres Doxy is wearing. If you would please stand up. It is in Rule 7 of our bylaws, and I'll read it. Proper attire is expected of senators, associate senators, Senate leadership, and anyone wishing to officially speak on the Senate floor who has speaking rights. Please wear what you're comfortable wearing while still acknowledging that this is a formal space and that is written in our bylaws. As usual, I am proud of you all always and have a safe weekend.
Bit of information. How do I get a shirt? Do I have to pay? Is there an application?
It's free. You just have to go to the front desk and the front desk will provide you with one. A good purpose behind these shirts was we can acknowledge that not everyone can afford formal attire. So the shirt was made so you could wear it in Senate, you could wear it out. I personally wear it golfing. So that's the purpose of the shirt. You can just go to the front desk on your size and you'll get a shirt. Yes, is it for me? Okay. Can I keep wearing my hoodies? So while I do want y'all to feel comfortable in this space, my answer to your question will be what's written in our Senate bylaws is that what is expected of the senators is to, and I can read it, I'll read it verbatim again. I've lost it. Okay. It's Rule 7 decorum. B, the rules governing decorum during an official ASCSU Senate session are as follows. And that's Rule B. A says proper attire is expected of senators, associate senators, Senate leadership, and anyone wishing to officially speak on the Senate floor who has speaking rights. I don't expect y'all to come in here suit and tie, but definitely more formal is what is expected of y'all. Does that answer your question?
Oh, yes. What you're seeing up here is a QR code to the Slack channel. So if you are not a part of Slack yet, scan that and you can join.
I think Senator Hill had something for me.
I'll wait for my Senate report. So it's a good motion.
Are there any other further questions for me? No. Have a good weekend.
Thank you. And if formal attire is a barrier, I do believe the Career Center has resources where you can get formal attire from the Career Center. So please reach out to the Career Center if you want to explore those options.
Additionally, I know everyone loves my outfits. Every single one of the suits I own, I have thrifted. And I've gotten them for like less than, some of them I've gotten for even less than $10. So if anyone, that's a barrier, like if you need a ride to go thrifting, I love thrifting, I'll be there with me online. But if any of those things are a barrier, I am happy to help in any of those ways. I usually get really good feedback on these suits, which I'm really appreciative of. So please reach out if there's any barriers to formal attire for you. Thank you.
True. John Fetterman did win his Senate race in a hoodie, though, so that is something to think about. Senator Morgan, do you have something?
Yeah, I just have a quick clarification in terms of the formal wear. It's also important to consider that different cultures have different views of what is formal. So just putting that out there that people shouldn't feel pressured to conform to what this formal is. So just want to put that out there. I yield.
Thank you. Yeah, and one of the criticisms we heard, because I think the bylaws used to say business attire. Business attire is very white centric. So essentially anything you'd wear to maybe a job interview would be acceptable. Last week, I think it was Thursday, President Long and I met with interim President Miranda along with Vice President Blanche Hughes. So that was a great meeting. We talked about essentially what the Senate was doing and what the executive branch was doing, and we got an update from them, which was nice. A couple of days ago, Governor Polis, Senator Bennett, State Representative Basenecker, and Representative Congressman Jonah Goose, they were all here doing a Get Out the Vote rally. And so it was just great having them on campus and getting to speak with them and being able to crack some jokes with Senator Bennett about his shoes. Then today I met with Parking and Transportation Services. I sit on the Parking and Transportation Committee, and they're essentially going through kind of revitalizing parking and transportation services. So that'll be interesting what comes out of that effort. And I did want to throw this out there. One of the barriers that I've seen is that the executive branch has a tendency to work really well and cohesively because they're able to make those bonds during the fall retreat that takes place at Mountain Campus. But Senate really didn't have that opportunity, largely because most of you were elected or appointed to your positions after that time had passed. So we all didn't really get an opportunity to meet each other and bond in that way. So the LSC is hosting sort of a professional development activity on January 22nd. I think it would be great if all of Senate was there to participate in that and kind of get to know each other better outside of this space. So just throwing it out there, or if you have any other ideas for bonding activities that we could do as a Senate, feel free. that is all I have. And we'll move on to Senator and Associate Senator reports. Chair Salazar.
Thank you. Hello again. Okay, I'm just gonna do it this week in Pride. So this week we're doing the Fall Valentines, which is a way to explore different forms of new love languages. Tomorrow is gonna be physical touch in the Pride Resource Center, and then on Friday it's gonna be letters of affirmation from 12 to 1 again, and I think that is in the Pride Resource Center or in room 228. And then we also have a gender does not equal genitalia, craft origami anatomy, but I think it's been switched to paper cranes. That's tomorrow 3 to 5 in the PRC again. And then, sorry, just trying to scroll through it. And then Wednesday, November 16th is a part of Trans Awareness Week. We are partnering with El Centro to paint sugar skulls for decorations. And they're going to be used on the ofrenda, which is an altar to remember the trans people for Trans Day of Remembrance and Resiliency that is going to be held on November 17th. And I'm actually going to be yielding to Chair Oslan to reiterate Trans Day of Remembrance and Resiliency.
Okay, so Trans Day of Remembrance and Resiliency is on November 20th. It is a day to remember and honor those we have lost to anti-trans violence in the US and the world. 2021 was the deadliest year on record, and we have already surpassed that number for 2022. Please keep in mind that these numbers, that the violence towards trans people disproportionately affects trans women of color. The ceremony that the PRC puts on every year for allies and community members is on Thursday, November 17th at 6:30 p.m. in the LSC Theater. Thank you. I yield back to Chair Salazar.
Cool. And then with that, the city of Fort Collins is also making a proclamation November 15th to make this month, I believe, Transgender Acceptance Month. It's going to be at 3:30 at 222 LaPorte Avenue. The proclamation is set to start at 5 p.m. at 300 LaPorte Drive, and then public comment is at 6 p.m. And yeah, our interim director, Maggie Hendrickson, is going to be receiving that proclamation, and I would encourage everyone to come out and support. You don't have to identify as trans or non-binary to come and support people, and it'll be a good thing. Thanks to you.
Thank you, Chair Doyle.
So like Chair Salazar said, tomorrow I will be presenting my Lex on basically creating a set of procedures for funding student organizations and Senate to the Diversity and Inclusion Caucus to ensure that that process is inclusive to all. If you would like to voice a say in that Lex, please come to that meeting. I will be posting the Lex on Slack later or after that meeting on Thursday with the updates. Thank you. I yield.
Thank you, Senator Hill.
First off, I'd like to make a motion.
They're already. Already on it.
What's the?
Oh, never mind. I was gonna say, the fight's on, but you know, we're down there. Yeah, just been working on some with the legislation, continuing on for the monitoring for the bike camera, the e-locks. So, yep, that's it.
Thank you, Senator Melchior.
Hi, everyone. This Friday is Veterans Day, and ALBS, along with the Student Veteran Organization on campus, are hosting National Roll Call. It's from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., and it pays tribute to American military service members and civilians who have made the ultimate sacrifice during the war on terror. Please stop by. Also, if anyone's interested in reading the names of people who have fallen, there are still time slots open, and if you would like to, please see me after adjournment. And finally, on Saturday, ALBS and ROTC is hosting the Military Appreciation Tailgate. So, thank you.
Any other veterans in the chamber? Thank you, Senator Melchior.
I have a question. Do the Wyoming, ROTC members run down to us the way that we run up to them? Does anyone know the answer to that? Yes. Because how many miles is that?
Oh no, Friday at noon, if you're not doing anything, you can head up to the Wyoming border and they actually, their ROTC like passes it off to ours in the ceremony. And then we bring it down to into the stadium and everything. So yeah, it's a fun little ceremony. I've heard, I have not personally attended. I yield.
Who wants to go to Wyoming? Anyone? You know what, that's fair. I've been there once. It's an interesting time.
Yeah, the state population changes drastically when we do that tradition. And some people happen to step over the boundary line. Crazy. Senator McCall.
Hi, everyone. The WGAC does not have any events coming up really quickly, but I wanted to let everybody know that I this week we have some magnets that have the victim assistance hotline phone number on them. And they're on the front desk here in ASCSU and like the little resources center. And I just tell everybody that even if you don't think that you will ever need this or any of your friends will ever need this, that's probably not true. And that you should just have it. Like you can literally stick it on your fridge and then you'll have this number to give to somebody in like a rough spot or whatever. So that's always a resource. And WJC is a resource for everybody on campus. You can get like condoms and stuff there. You can literally just walk in and grab one. But yeah, so just reminding everybody of that and take a magnet. So yeah, okay. I
Thank you, Chair Trout.
Hello again. So just really quickly, I wanted to acknowledge my Senate reports are long. I know that. So for future, I will be posting them basically word for word in the Slack just for accessibility reasons. With that out of the way, a couple things. First, thanks for spreading out the message for the free snow shovels that OCL offered. We did go through 150 in a single day. So that was really crazy. It was plenty of professional staff like, I'm going to manifest this. And sure enough, he manifested it. So if you did miss out on that this year, we'll be doing it again next year. In case you were not able to go to Spring Awakening last week, no sweat. There are additional showings on Thursday, November 10th, Friday, November 11th, Saturday, November 12th, and Sunday, November 13th. If dance performances are more of your cup of tea, the fall dance concert will be on November 11th and November 12th. All of those are, again, on the UCA website. Again, kind of to reiterate, Chair DeSalvo or Speaker DeSalvo, I also want to take a second and thank everyone who was able to vote in this year's midterms. Midterms typically don't get the same amount of attention as the presidential years do. Yet we saw a record turnout of young folk across the country, and that's something to be proud of. Just a couple other bits. Class withdrawal is on the 11th. So if there's a class that you are just not vibing with, you have beef with the professor, it's better to withdraw than have an F in that. So just keep that in mind. And finally, if you have not had a chance yet to fill out the Ramride feedback form, they would really appreciate it. They've had over 300, almost 400 respondents so far, which is massive. That was sent in the Instagram chat on Slack. That's all I have for tonight. Again, thank you all for an incredible Senate session, and I yield.
Thank you, Senator Ritter.
Hi, y'all. So it is Native American Heritage Month. We still got some more events coming up this week and next week. Tomorrow we've got a keynote coming in, DeFaro, from Res Dogs, if any of you all are familiar with him. So he'll be coming in tomorrow at the LSC at 6 p.m. So come by and check that out. We also got some films being shown at the Lyric next week as well. So go ahead and check those things out as well. Something else that came up today is the Supreme Court has been looking at ICWA, which is the Indian Child Welfare Act. And basically its purpose is to take Native children out of reservations and take them out of their homes. So definitely take a look at that. It's something that has been opened up today, has only been enacted for 44 years.
and could possibly be overturned. And it's something that's impacted my family. So definitely take a look into that. It's some pretty important stuff. Trying to think. I think that is it. But yes, check those things out. And yeah,
Thank you. Associate Senator Torres Doxy, finish this off.
Yeah, sweet. So APAC has some events coming up. Every week we host Try to Understand, which is a weekly discussion group where we talk about issues that are within the PETA and SWANA community. So feel free to come to those discussions. They're great. I facilitate them. So please come. Next week our topic is mental health in a PETA. And we'll be like handing out, we'll be talking about like mental health impacts the PETA community and giving out like some self-care items. So like little journals that you could like use for your own uses and like face masks for like self-care. And then after fall break, our topic is ramen night. It's not really a topic, but we'll be having ramen in collab with APAC's Peer Mentor program. So it's right before Senate. So come get some ramen if you would like. 5 to 6 p.m. So yeah, thank you. Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Also one more event this Friday is Mahjong night. You can come and learn how to play Mahjong 4 to 7 p.m. And it's also Saturday. I think we start at 12, but you can check our Instagram for that. So come and learn how to play Mahjong. It's really fun.
Are you gonna teach us?
I'm not that good, but I can teach, yes.
All right, everyone. Our parliamentarian has pulled up the words to the fight song that we are all gonna sing together.
Suddenly my microphone.
I motion to make this all.
No, absolutely not. No.
second.
See, the great thing about being speaker is I have the choice whether to entertain motions or not.
I'm going to overrule the speaker on that. Second.
Please, please, hear me out, hear me out. We had a really successful session. No, that's why we all need to participate. Please, please, I'm begging you. I'm begging you, withdraw your motion. Chair Doyle, please.
I would support Chair Doyle and Speaker singing it together. We're gonna do it.
Yeah, we could turn this around on you,
Second.
Chair Doyle. Yeah, that's what we're doing. So.
I did not change the motion to that.
I'm gonna do this. Would you change it to the chair? Just to like formalize things, the chair singing the fight song. Ariani, don't spoil things.
Wait, I motion for all of Senate leadership to do it.
You know what?
Yeah, yeah.
Senate leadership. Senate
Okay.
leadership.
Okay.
Like I'm more.
I do like Associate Senator Torres Doxy's idea. Is there?
My motion to that.
Okay, okay. So it's been seconded.
Can I motion vice chair singing to the
Absolutely. Okay, is there a second? Is there a second for that motion? Okay. So Senate leadership and vice chairs are included. Okay. So all those in favor of Senate leadership and vice chair singing the fight song, say aye. All those opposed? Abstention. I'll do it by placard. There's division. So all those in favor of Senate leadership and vice chairs. Hold up high. Yeah, that's a majority. So, all right, are we ready, folks? And I think it would be best. I think it would be best if we stood up, the folks who are singing.
I can't stand. You said to be loud.
Yeah.
Can't sing, bro.
Who's Oklahoma. Oklahoma.
Can I make another motion to add the vice president to the fight song?
Second.
Yeah, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed? Okay, Elijah, let's get it over with so we can go home. Pretty please. This could have been so much easier if we all sang it, but no. Okay, okay. All right. So the Wyoming mascot, the Wyoming, they're the Pokes. So say the Pokes.
Instead of what?
Pokes. Instead of, we usually say Buffs.
Oh.
So like,
To formally step down.
Can I get that in writing, Madam Mayor?
No.
after you're like, I am not resigning. The rumors are untrue. Okay. Okay.
Recorded, right? Like, that's already on the formal record.
Go by.
So instead of tear the opponent's line asunder, we'll sing tear the Pope's line asunder. Okay. Yeah, bring Evan. Evan, here. Here. You're gonna help sing the fight song. All right.
Sam, that's wrong.
All right. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, go. Have a great night, everyone.
Can we just take a second to appreciate that the Zoom thought we were playing the game? Yeah, it was saying like playing
Shoot, if I would have said it.
Yeah, I've been on your motion.